estamos meio estável, né? É saída desta. Tudo bem?
Tudo bem, boa tarde.
Boa tarde.
Bom trabalho.
Estou um bocado indeciso, o gajo está tão indeciso que é obras, tipo, o curso é tudo igual, é...
Yeah. Isto, olha, esta curva não vai aguentar muito tempo.
Então.
Não vai aguentar muito tempo, vais ter bonecos bons depois, porque terceiro, quarto carro vai rasgar isso. Só passou um, ainda só passou um.
Não passou nada, isto passou foi um brinquedo.
Já, eu quero ver, daqui a bocado começa isso.
É o médico de serviço.
Welcome to the BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal and the Prologue, the first competitive kilometres of this 5-day event, which will loop around through northern Portugal and into Extremadura in Spain. This is round 4 of the 2025 W2RC. We've already had the 000 machines clearing through the stage, and the first of our competitors getting lined up. As you can see, the quads starting to make their appearance, ready to get us underway. So it will be run with the motorcycle field quads and two-wheeled competitors, all in reverse order of their current standings. And the first machine will be something a little bit special. One of the local heroes, Pedro Bianchi Prata from Portugal, in a Moev Stark. And the Moev Stark is an e-bike. He will be competing outside of the regular championship standings because of the need to stop and recharge his machine at more frequent intervals than his internal combustion engine rivals. But the first fruits, maybe the first shoots perhaps, of what might become part of the future of Rally Raid competition. Well, hello everybody, welcome to our coverage of the Prologue. I'm Martin Haven with you through the next couple of hours, watching the entire field run through here. The bikes and quads together, and then our four-wheel competitors in all three classes will be coming through as well. And at the end of the afternoon, everybody returns to the bivouac, and then there will be the ceremonial start in the centre of town here, in Grândola. We're an hour and a half or so north of the Portuguese capital, Lisbon. So this very familiar Rally Raid territory, but very different from the last few events, very different from the dunes of South Africa, of Abu Dhabi. This is very much more Baja territory than traditional desert-style Rally Raid. And just 5.03 kilometres long, this prologue is the shortest in W2RC history. And for our front runners, obviously the prologue decides the starting order for tomorrow, and that could be very important indeed. So pressure right from the start. This is much less of a formality than the official starting ramp ceremony, that's for sure. And as we saw last year, it's not always a given that you come out of the prologue in one piece. So the route this year has been designed to be twisty, gravelly, particularly a very sort of northern Iberian feel to it, rather than any replica of what you might find on a modern Dakar. So a lot of the competitors have been competing on local Bajas in the last few weeks. There was one just last weekend here in Portugal. part of their all-terrain competition, their national championship. And that gave quite a number of competitors a chance to just get their heads around the sort of feel of the terrain that we'll be encountering during the course of the next 5 days and 5 stages, with a 2-day loop through into Spain. So an awful lot of our competitors, particularly in the two-wheel category actually, and the quads, are on home soil here in Portugal. And some of the big names will be attracting big crowds to the sides of the stage in Portugal, in Spain, as well as the locals do here in Portugal. So our first rider, Pedro Bianchi Prata, should be ready to take the start in exactly 60 seconds. Now, although this is a new machine to him, he is an experienced rider. He's got plenty of W2RC style competition under his belt. Knows this kind of terrain very well too. And he'll be chased through here by the quads. All of our competitors will be starting at 1-minute intervals. So Pedro Prata should have not too much problem staying ahead of the quads. Beautiful weather conditions. Nice, warm, relatively warm shirt sleeve weather. Up in the mid-20s. A little bit of breeze as well, and that might be interesting as the track starts to cut up. Away he goes then. You don't necessarily need to adjust your set, because of course you haven't got the big thrum of a 4-stroke motorcycle engine. As a pure EV bike, it's making very much less noise than anything else that we're going to see during the course of the day. And that's actually going to be really interesting for spectators trackside as well, is that it'll feel like they've got their fingers in their ears almost. In fact, more so, they've got proper noise-cancelling headphones on, because they can see the bike, they can see it leaping from bump to bump and rut to rut. What they can't do is hear it coming. And that means that marshals particularly are going to have to be on their mettle on the stages, because after you've had course opening vehicles coming through making a lot of noise, if the bike is still running in the middle of the field, then you're not going to necessarily hear him coming. So the Stark is the manufacturer, and our second machine underway, Alexis Varane from Senegal. So one of a handful of African competitors. And he's the first of our quads on track. Nice little link with Senegal and Lisbon. Is that the very last of the African Dakars that took place, of course, started in Lisbon and ran through to Dakar back in what seems like ancient history now, back in 2007. In that event, we went from Lisbon down through the littoral regions to the Mediterranean and then across to North Africa. Didn't come up north here. And the Senegalese rider very much hoping to be heading to the Dakar. It's only his third rally raid and his first in the W2RC, Alexis Varane. So when he makes up for enthusiasm, he might perhaps lack in experience. Riding Yamaha 700 Raptor. There's the Stark of Pedro Prata of Portugal. Moev, by the way, is the new name for Cepsa, the Iberian oil giant. Stark, the manufacturer of the electric bike, and 175, Alexis Varane on his Raptor. 174 then, this is Gaetan Martinez, the Frenchman, on a CF Moto C-Force 1000. A much bigger looking machine than the Yamaha. And the French-built machine really starting to look more like a small truck than the Yamaha, which still kind of looks like a quad of the old school. Again, looking down there on the Thunder Racing entry of Gaetan Martinez, you can see what a huge machine that is. So we'll be looking at the times as the riders come across the line. This is our fourth contender, Anatanas Kanopkinas from Lithuania. And he too on a CF Moto C-Force 1000. Behind him is the Polish rider Marek Losz. He's another Raptor rider. And there's 173. Kanopkinas. 174. Gaetan Martinez. Make the timing system work and give us some indication of what's going on. Haven't had a time yet through. So here is Marek Losz, another of the Yamaha Raptors. And still, it may be a short prologue. It's taken them a moment or two to get through. So that's around a 5-minute 45 run through for Pedro Parata on the Moev Stark. You can hear the big 4 strokes working their way around the track. 172, there's Marek Losz. Following him in should be Tomasz Soldos. It's a tight and convoluted course, almost all sand, 96% sand.
Foram só os primeiros quilómetros, muito bom. Como é que se portou aqui a máquina?
Portou-se muito bem, o Prologue estava espetacular, fui o primeiro a passar, poucas marcas, o piso muito bom, mas já dá para ficar um bocadinho ofegante porque é trabalhoso, são 5 km mas intensos.
Obrigado, boa sorte para amanhã.
Obrigado, eu.
All right. Well, saying that he hoped it looked spectacular, felt pretty quick for him. Here's Tomasz Soldos. We'll try and get a word with some of our other competitors as they get to the line. Trying to figure out, oh, here we go, let's see what we've got. So Alexis Varane and Gaetan Martinez now finishing their runs through. Tomasz Soldos, he's on the Beta. And And just as well we've got that bit of breeze, otherwise it might be a bit of a problem on this tight and convoluted prologue. 56 next up, Carlo Augusto Cabini from Italy on a 450 Honda. So Marek Lodge, currently the Polish rider, currently third in the points. Crashed in South Africa the last event, so he needs a good run here through Portugal. Carlo Cabini, fast, experienced Italian, multiple Italian champion. Again, the Italian Baja Series will make this feel very familiar territory for him. Well, the CF Moto machines, Gaetan Martinez and Antanas Kanopkinas, both at stage finish. They come here tied on points on the top of the quad leaderboard. There is Kanopkinas, hasn't quite got to the finish yet. Pedro Prata setting a 5-minute 31.6 time. Alex Varane, the Senegalese, 5:38.5. Gaetan Martinez, 5:25.8. But his teammate, a little quicker, Antanas Kanopkinas, the Lithuanian, a it's just jumped up, 5:25.3, so fastest time so far. In stage now, cameras picking up 54, one of the Amaral brothers, that's Salvador Amaral. First of two brothers. Gonzalo will follow him into the stage, has followed him into the stage, as we now get to Chile's John Medina, another KTM riding exponent. 53, Gonzalo Amaral. At 45, there is John Medina from Chile. The Amaral brothers won every stage on the event last year in the motorcycle category. They finished 1-2. Gonzalo, the 26-year-old younger of the two, won the event, and Salvador, 29-year-old older brother, finished in second place. Marek Lodge, by the way, currently 5th fastest, taking a moment or two to get the times in after they arrive at the finish line. A little refresh of the system and see where we get to. That breeze actually has been pretty helpful. There's not an awful lot of dust, but there is some. And it's good keeping it down. So Thomas Zoldos on the 430 Beta is currently the fastest man. So we've got a Frenchman at the top of the pile. See if we get a little word with him or some of our other competitors in a moment or two. And then the two CF Moto machines, the Thunder Racing team. CF Moto, the leading quads. Eduardo Allan should already be in the stage. And the Amaral brothers, run by Wing Motor, their dad's business. It's a big Honda dealership in Lisbon. 54, there's Salvador. Expect to see both of them going very quickly here. Carlo Cabini should be looking fast as well. Eduardo Allan, there he is, number 40. And following him through 37, Ralph Melander, the Finn. John Medina, the Chilean rider, last year won the Rally 3 Cup. Eduardo Allan, another fast rider from South America, the Argentine. And behind him there, Ralph Melander in the blue and white. Very experienced amateur rider. He's done a number of Dakars. There he is. Just rides for pleasure, not chasing championships. And his day job, he is a Medi helicopter pilot. Something that he has had to call on the services of before in his racing career. His partner from Finland has a Guinness World Record for swimming under ice.
Termos conseguido reunir as condições para alinharmos nesta excelente corrida.
O facto de ter saído entre os primeiros para o prólogo deve ter sido vantajoso, porque o piso está ainda muito, não muito tocado, digamos assim.
Sim, exatamente. Isto é piso arenoso, portanto vai sempre ficar mais degradado com as das motas vão passando. Portanto, sim, foi uma vantagem, sem dúvida.
Obrigado, Salvador. Boa sorte para amanhã.
All right, so Salvador finished and through. Afraid not getting much of his Portuguese in that. Second quickest, 5:18.6. Thomas Zodos of France is still very comfortably the quickest.
Gonçalo, como é que foi o prólogo?
Foi bom, foi começo bom. Sempre princípio bocadinho, choque grande. Os braços se incharam um bocadinho, mas pronto, é onde tudo se pode perder e onde não se ganha nada. Por isso foi um bom início, com cautela de princípio ao fim. E amanhã começamos o rally à séria.
Como é que estava o piso aqui nestes 5 km?
Como já estamos habituados desde o ano passado, muito arenoso, areia, mas bom, começámos nós a abrir pista basicamente e foi bom porque tínhamos o traçado ainda limpinho e foi bom.
Estratégia para amanhã?
Sem dúvida começar o rally com calma, ir progressivamente ganhando um bocadinho de ritmo, porque é uma corrida muito longa e tudo pode acontecer e sem dúvida acabar cada dia, um dia de cada vez e levar a moto até ao fim.
Obrigado, boa sorte.
Now then, interesting. Gonçalo is quicker than his brother again, so Salvador coming in third quickest, the two wing motor Honda riders. 45 here, John Medina, coming through to the end of the stage. Chilean with 3 Dakars under his belt. In Rally 2, 1 here in Rally 3 as well, John Medina from Chile. Won the Rally 3 Cup title last year. So Medina with the Amarals and Carlo Cabini of Italy, the first of our Rally 3 riders coming through. Eduardo Allan here. Eduardo Allan, another 450 KTM rider. Now on stage now, we should have Preston Campbell, the young American rider. Being buzzed by a drone. That's excellent. So here is Marti Escofet, which he's our 15th starter, the Spaniard. So we should have Fabio Bernardini and Preston Campbell both in stage at the moment. And there does appear to be a little bit of catching up going on here. So 85, Preston Campbell, a newcomer in the Honda HRC satellite team of the main factory Honda effort. Our second Lithuanian competitor in stage as well. Ines Daunavarikas. 49, Jorge Brandão, another Portuguese rider, and we'll probably see a little bit more of him. Preston Campbell's dad, Johnny, 90s Baja legend, raced a lot for Honda. 49, Jorge Brandão there. And actually, Johnny Campbell also mentors Ricky Brabec. He has competed with his son Preston on a number of events. And a bit of a struggle here. Who are we looking down on? Was that Marty Escoffier? So 47. Arnau Ledo Perez, Spanish rider on a 450 KTM Rally factory replica. Preston Campbell's Honda, by the way, number 85. It's the new customer machine. So 55 we're seeing here having a bit of a struggle. It's Fabio Bernardini. Bernardini looks like he's got a bit of a mechanical problem. So 41 in, Pablo Pascual of Argentina. Still aiming to try and compete in the Dakar. Lots of experience in South America, but long on experience and short on budget. There's a familiar story. Inisinal Dorovikias, a professional mechanic, making his debut. We saw him a little earlier in W2RC. Now this is Seran Jablan of Croatia, number 39, and just a couple of machines up the way. Aishwarya Pise from India. One of a small handful of female riders. Seran Jablan, he says, you can call me Sir John if you like. Done a number of events in Europe, but first time out in W2RC. Likes to go for an unfamiliar bike choice. Big 800 BMWs and things on small Baja events. On a much lighter machine here though, on a 450 KTM. And his second event on that machine. Daunavarikas, hoping to go to the Dakar in 2027, the Lithuanian. He's actually competed on the Dakar Classic, finished third this year in a Series 3 Land Rover, and will hope to do it again in 2026, and then head to the Dakar in 2027 as a Malmoto privateer. And competing here sort of as such as well. Arnau Perez, another of our Portuguese fan favourites. Nuno Silva's in the stage as well, or should be at this stage. I'm seeing too much of a flash of him. So Paris, the Spaniard. There'll be an awful lot of fans out once we get into Extremadura, and in fact probably this side of the border as well in Portugal, coming to watch the event. Off-road racing still very much a big feature of this region of northern Portugal. The national championship, the all-terrain championship, is quite a crowd-pleasing series of
como é que foi o
events.
Prologue? Costuma dizer-se que não se ganha nada no Prologue, mas pode-se perder muita coisa. Qual foi a sua abordagem?
A minha abordagem foi um pouco tranquila, porque, como disseste, posso perder tudo e não se ganha nada. Então foi para conseguir um lugar razoável de partida amanhã, para não andar muito envolvido no pó.
Essa é a estratégia para amanhã?
Sim, sim. Os primeiros dias tem que ser mais tranquilo, porque isto é uma corrida muito dura e muito longa, então os primeiros dias tem que ser tranquilo.
Obrigado, boa sorte.
Well, Preston Campbell fastest so far on the customer Honda. 5 minutes, 0.2 seconds. So quicker than Thomas Zoldos. And then in third place, just coming across the line, Martí Escoffier of Spain. So he's third quickest, 5 seconds back. 4.4 seconds the gap from first to second. 31 machine. Aishwarya Pillai on the Indian-built machine. Bike only arrived yesterday, courtesy of her compatriot Jatin Jain. He's trying to bring more Indians into the sport, and she is the first woman from Asia to compete in W2RC. In stage now 30, David Brock, the Aussie. Aishwarya Pillai, also a two-time women's champion, 2019 and last season 2024. Well, was second in the Junior Baja Cup competition back in 2019 as well. And Aishwarya is a multiple national road racing and rally champion as well. So David Brock in the stage, the number 30 KTM, another KTM number 29, Alfredo Pellissier, also in the stage, and this is Mathieu Libert from Belgium, another 450 KTM rally replica. Just a quick shot there from behind of Nuno Silva. Number 38. '39 as well, Seven Yablan. So we've got about 5 machines in the stage at any one time. Starting about a minute apart. Fastest is just a whisker over 5 minutes through this prologue. So Preston Campbell currently our fastest man on 2 wheels, and Gonzalo Amaral the fastest of the quads. Moving quickly through our order, there's Mathieu Libert, the Belgian rider. Nice little loosener for these riders. And that is Harit Noah of India. So Harit Noah on the factory Sherco won the Rally 2 class on the Dakar last year, crashed on the event this year. 27 Jul van Mechelen of Belgium, of the Netherlands. Spaniard Alfredo Pellissier, one of the youngest competitors, almost at the end of the stage, just 21. Racing with X-Raid experienced Spanish family team. First time with them. He's the reigning youth champion. And his second event with a road book, so very much learning the business. Here's 20, Harriet Noah, owner of the Indian-built Kovo bikes.
5 km, amanhã também a abordagem vai ser a mesma, com pisos muito arenosos, também com muito pó.
Sim, sim. O importante é ir com calma, porque as corridas são longas e só terminam no fim.
Obrigado, Nuno. Boa sorte. Declarações Nuno Silva.
So Nuno Silva. Interviews at the end of the stage featuring our Portuguese competitors. Might get the odd non-Portuguese but Portuguese-speaking competitor, so expect to hear from some Brazilians as well. João Vinhals, 46. Vinhals on a 450 KTM rally rep. And 35, Pedro Pinheiro. I'm guessing we're probably going to hear from him at the end of the stage as well. KTM very much one of the prime weapons of choice over the last few seasons. Still very popular among a lot of the riders. I think they are outnumbering even Honda's armada here by a factor of several. Mathieu Liebert, and 46 here, João Vinhals, still in the stage. Pedro Pinheiro, camera's picking him up again. You can see how it's rutting up already. It's going to be entertaining for the cars, isn't it? Because the deep ruts that will have been cut by the two-wheel field, 50 competitors, are going to make life very entertaining for their four-wheel brethren. So Pedro Pinheiro in the stage, Jatin Jain of India also in the stage. A third of our Indian riders. Jatin Jain also on a 450 Cove. So of the Indians, it is Harriet Noah on the Sherco. The other two on Indian machinery. 35 here, Pedro Pinheiro. Coming towards the end. But there is Jatin Jain, just a very quick shot of the Indian. So it was he, rather than Harriet Noah actually, who brought the machine for Aishwarya Pisay. It was one of his older machines, or his former machine. This is his brand new Cove bike. And not just competing himself, trying to raise awareness back home on the subcontinent And funding, of course, also to try and bring new riders through. 25, another Portuguese. Well, would you, Adamant, believe it? It's Bruno Santos. Santos on another KTM 450 factory rally replica. Looks very at home in these conditions, doesn't he? Almost riding like a motocrosser. That means that Sebastian Urquía of Argentina is in the stage as well. Urquía, when you spot number 43, won the veterans category last year. Hugely experienced rider, now turned 52. He's competed in 8 Dakar. And currently lies second, there he is, in the veterans category. So all sorts of potential points-paying positions going on through the course of this event. Penultimate round of the season. David Paviska of the Czech Republic. He is our veterans points leader on the number 48 machine. Another 450 KTM rally replica. Competed in Rally 2 on the Dakar this year. There he is. He is our veterans points leader. So, close battle between him and Sebastian Urquía, the Argentine rider for supremacy. Defending champion trailing, I was going to say the newcomer, but he's not, trailing his rival. Paviska looking pretty happy at the moment. Marchal Meplan of France, 31-year-old. Now, this going should be pretty familiar territory for him. He is a 12-time competitor in the beach race at Le Touquet on the Channel coast of France. Meplan entered here last year, but crashed in the prologue, badly breaking his arm. Finished the prologue, and then had to retire a few kilometres into the first stage.
Primeiros quilómetros. Está bocado escorregadio. A areia está a começar a ganhar alguns buracos, mas será bom teste para o Dakar.
Isso foi daqui não é tão perceptível, mas penso que lá em casa foi. Essa questão que levantou agora de estar mais calcado já começa a prejudicar um pouco também os tempos.
Já. Os regos não estão muito certos, ainda não estão fundos, não há muitas paredes, mas é só o prólogo, a corrida começa amanhã.
Qual vai ser a sua abordagem para amanhã, Pedro?
O meu treino, vou levar esta corrida como um treino, que é para depois chegar a Marrocos daqui a 3 semanas, bem preparado para chegar ao Dakar na máxima força.
Obrigado. Declarações Pedro Pinheiro aqui à Sport TV.
So Pedro Pinheiro. We have a new fastest time, by the way. 21-year-old Alfredo Pellissier for X-Raid Experience team has set the quickest time. Spanish Championship competitor, whose dad is a multiple Dakar competitor. Justin Gerlach of Germany has done 4 W2RC events, 3 in Abu Dhabi and 1 in the Dakar. Lots of Baja-style events in Poland, but this is his first time on this one. Come over in his own truck from Germany, looking to do the Dakar in 2027. 3rd in Rally 2 in the junior class currently. This is Martin Ventura. So Ventura on the CRF 450 Honda, number 84.
Bruno, como é que está aqui o piso? Acredito que esteja já um pouco mais calcado com tantas motas a passarem.
Bruno
O piso
Santos,
está bastante traiçoeiro, é piso
another local
que foi
rider,
preparado aqui para esta
unknown
sessão,
last
mas é
year
bastante arenoso.
when he
Portanto,
made his
com tantas
debut
motas a
here, but
passar,
won
com o
Rally
calor que
2,
está, a areia fica
third
solta e marca
overall.
bastante. Tenho aqui
And
menos
his
sorte por
machine
as linhas que estarem
and
marcadas
livery
pelos pilotos mais lentos. Custa
all
bastante
green,
mais a romper
as
a areia e os traços da
he
areia
and his
para
team
encontrar
sponsored
o
by a major
percurso perfeito,
fruit
mas está bom, é mesmo
dealer,
assim.
fruit
Amanhã
importer
acredito que não
here
vá atacar
in
logo de início.
Portugal,
Então,
or
amanhã vou
exporter.
tentar andar o mais possível para a frente, aqui com este prólogo, com dois pilotos que apanhei no percurso, com algum pó e com estas condições que acabei agora de referir. É normal que o resultado não seja excelente, consigo perceber que não vai ser dos melhores, mas o objetivo vai ser tentar alcançar o máximo de pilotos e andar para a frente, para depois conseguir ir o máximo da frente da corrida e evitar os troços com demasiado pó nos dias seguintes.
Obrigado, boa sorte, Bruno.
So Bruno Santos there, and you can see 22 Martin Doherty and 26 rather, Konrad Jabrowski, Polish number 1, World Baja champion. Jabrowski comes from a competitive family. His dad was an off-road racer as well. Jabrowski currently second in the juniors. Michael Doherty from South Africa lives in Dubai. There he is, and should be among the fastest in Rally 2. Now he's much more at home, he reckons, in the big dunes, Dubai and the Dakar, and this is going to be a bit of a challenge for him. And like everything in life, when you take on something new, you learn a lot more. 73, Edgar Canet from Spain, just 20 years old, KTM rider. Arrived in rally raids from motocross at the end of 2024. MX2 KTM Spain rider. Injured himself during the 24 season. He's done 5 rallies so far. Here as a privateer, finished 11th last year, Edgar Canet. So with another year's experience, what can he do? He had a sensational podium finish in the Prologue last year, Canet. KTM took him to the Dakar this year. 96, Tobias Ebster rather, from Australia, it says. Austria it means, AUT, that would be. Riding for Indian Mark Hero. Now, Ebster, a cousin of Heinz Kinney-Gardner, the Austrian legend. And Kinney, of course, part owner of KTM as well. He's not riding for KTM, riding for Hero. So, Alfredo Pellissier, fastest of all at the moment. And still second quickest is Preston Campbell. Third fastest, by the way, went Jarl van Mechelen, the Dutch rider, ahead of Thomas Soldos. So fastest time for Pellissier, 4 minutes 58.4. So 1.8 seconds quicker than Campbell.
Martim, acredito que não tenha sido propriamente uma vantagem sair tão atrás, já que os troços, acredito, também um pouco machucados.
Martin Ventura, Honda rider.
Inicial, os brecos estavam um bocado confusos, encaixar ou não encaixar. Mas pronto, é bom para entrar no ritmo. Prólogos é sempre um bocado difícil, assim um choque grande, mas pronto, é bom começar e agora é recuperar e amanhã começa então a corrida.
Uma prova também muito especial para si, a estreia com a Honda HRC. Acredito que também por isso e estar a correr em casa traga aqui um lado emocional diferente, maior neste caso.
Sim, isto para mim é um sonho que está a concretizar, correr com a Honda HRC aqui em casa. Agora é ver se estou à altura e começar então a corrida.
Obrigado, boa sorte, Martim.
Sounds like it's hard work out there. Martin Ventura breathing hard into the top 10 in our rankings with Tobias Ebser and now Lorenzo Santolino. Home given as Andorra, but very much a Spanish competitor. Crashed out of battle for the podium on the final day of Rally Raid Portugal last year. It's a pretty bad crash, and Santolino took a while to come back for that, but recently battled for a podium finish on the Rally Andalusia, and the #1 Sherco rider in the field. Perhaps the most experienced of our top 10 competitors. And he does have a very solid chance here. He could be right in the frame for a podium finish by the end of the event. Now, we'll have to see how the times continue to come in, whether the stage is starting to cut up and get slower. Pellissier, Campbell, Van Mechelen still the leaders. And then behind the top 3, Thomas Soldos of France, and then Escoffier and Lero Pares of Spain, and a whole big swathe of Portuguese riders. But a new pair of quicker times have come in as the timing system's updated itself. Michael Doherty has gone through in a 4:54.4, but quicker again, and substantially quicker again, is KTM rider Edgar Canet. Canet has gone through in a 4:49.9. So over 4.5 seconds quicker Edgar Canet than anybody else, as we see Ross Branch, Botswana rider on the Hero, former world champion. Now, chance of being world champion this, or reigning world champion, chances of the title this year out of his reach. So now it's about event victory. Crashed on day 1 here last year, first stage, and bit his tongue quite badly. Battled through the pain to finish the event. And Ross Branch will definitely be expected to be a real front runner, carrying the #1 plate. It's a big target on your back, and he will very much be aware, and everybody is looking to him as a potential pace setter, as indeed they were last year on Rally Raid Portugal. So Edgar Canet, fastest so far. Haven't got times yet for Ebstel and Santolino. So we will refresh the timing screen. Canet, Doherty, Pellissier, Campbell, Van Mechelen, the top 5. Thomas Zoldos, the French rider who went through really quite early on, is in 6th position, ahead of almost all of the Spanish and Portuguese riders, and his R3 machine is 6th fastest. Bradley Cox on the Sherco, next up the South African. Another very frequent Rally 2 competitor, privateering Rally GP on the Dakar this year. And after the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, he was approached by Sherco, made his debut as a factory Sherco rider last time out in South Africa. Absolutely flying at the moment. Tobias Ebster came through 8th quickest, so we've got a time for him. And Santolino came through 10th quickest on his Sherco. So you'll have to be doing well to find something special at this stage. It does seem as though this prologue track has cut up a little. Let's see if we can... Do we have a time yet for Ross Branch? We don't yet. Edgar Canet still the fastest man. Nacho Corneiro, the Chilean rider on the Hero, former factory Honda rider in the Monster Energy Honda team. Now racing for Hero. So we've got Ebster and Santolini just waiting for a time to come through from Ross Branch. Scrolling down the screen, hopefully he's not out of the top 20. Looking further down, we're into Rally 3, quads and the e-bike. So Ross Branch, 5th fastest. 5 minutes 0.3, 1/10 of a second off Campbell. So Preston Campbell still 4th, Ross Branch 5th fastest through. Waiting for a time to come through for Bradley Cox. So we're having to look a little further down the order.
Ross, how was it? It seemed a little tricky, quite sandy, and with the terrain not so good.
Yeah, terrain was amazing. You know, it was a bunch of different things. We had some slippery stuff, we had some sandy stuff, we had some fish. That's what rally's about, and it was fun. You know, very short 5K stage, but so good to see all the spectators out on the track. This is racing, and it makes us feel at home.
Thank you.
A little bit of everything. Some fine dust as well, and again the wind helping a little with that. Skylar Howes should be in the stage by now. I'm not sure the cameras have picked him up yet. Riding number 10. First of the Honda Monster Energy riders. There we go. Here is the American. 6th on this event last year. Well, last year, Skylar said he very much enjoyed the wet and the muddy conditions. So muddy last year, even in the prologue, that although you could tell it was a motorbike, it was very hard, very quickly to tell which motorbike. He's properly hooked up. So 4:49.9 is the time that they are looking to beat. Ross Branch, 5 minute 0.3. He's 5th quickest. Preston Campbell, 5 minute 0.2. He's 4th quickest. And then Alfredo Pellissier, the Spaniard, 3rd quickest, 4:58.4, 4:54.4. Here's Michael Doherty, South African, in 2nd at the moment. And Edgar Canet from Spain is the fastest man through. He's got 2 Spaniards in the top 3. And then Escoffe in 8th place. Tosha Shirena, another Monster Energy Honda, winner of the prologue last year, won the event as well. Had surgery in the early summer for an injury. And went off to Brazil and won the Sertões Rally. crashed last time out in W2RC in South Africa. And the summer surgery was after injuries, picked up crashing out of the Dakar as well. So it's been a tough season for Tosha Shorena. Four still to go. Shorena again looking well hooked up on the 450 Honda. His teammate Adrien van Beveren of France should be the next man in. Rally GP competitors will bring our two-wheeled class to a close. So there is Shorena. Team Adrien van Beveren is in the stage as well. Here he is. Third of three Monster Energy HRC entries. Sixth last year on this event. Second of the Honda Riders home. He's been in the top three in the championship every season for the last few years. He too had surgery in the summer, ankle surgery after a crash earlier in the year, and got back on his bike, not this bike, on his road cycle. So he's been doing a lot of bike racing, pedal powered, dropped 10 kilos before to after surgery. So he's now a lot fitter than he was before and has become utterly addicted to road biking. He did this thing called the Étape du Tour, which is where you follow the Tour de France around, doing the stages after the pros have done it. It's not the first time he did it, but did it again this year. And Adrien van Beveren, almost literally the moment he gets off his Honda, he is straight onto his road bike. He'll be cycling back to the hotel and getting in the kilometres wherever he can. So he swaps leathers and a helmet for Lycra and a helmet, and the horsepower for pedal power. Right. Canet still fastest. Just heard from Ross Branch as he came through. Let's see if we can find times for Bradley Cox. Bradley Cox 12th. Okay, so a 5:08.9. That's 9 seconds off the fastest time so far. And Skylar Howes scanning for him. He's down in 20th, 5:22. So 31 seconds off the pace. Goodness me. Tosha Shorena should be through the stage as well. Haven't seen a time come through for him. How far back was Canet? Canet wasn't that many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bikes earlier. So he certainly found pace where some of the others have not, or maybe through caution further to the wind than they have. Adrien van Beveren, we saw on the stage, this is Luciano Benavides of Argentina. Second in the standings this season. Didn't compete on this event last year, so this will be very unfamiliar territory for the Red Bull KTM rider. KTM did not bring a factory team to all the events last year. So first time out here on Rally Raid Portugal. This year's BP Ultimate event. There's going to be a tester. Now, coming from the Argentine Baja background that he does, it shouldn't be wildly unfamiliar.
Tosha, ¿cómo te sentiste? Tercero puesto para ya mejor GP.
Bueno, estaba muy resbaladizo el terreno, estaba buscando los apoyos, pero no los encontraba, estaba un mix entre arena y duro. No me encontré muy cómodo, pero bueno, la carrera de verdad empieza mañana.
¿Cómo va a ser la mañana tu abordaje?
Bueno, habrá que tener en cuenta hoy el elegir posición, porque habrá mucho polvo, así que va a que tener en cuenta eso, pero bueno, luego depende cómo elijan los chicos, elegiremos adelante o atrás, pero bueno, ya veremos la estrategia.
Gracias.
Looking forward to seeing all the fans out on the stages over the next few days. And maybe last year, because of the wet and the mud, that really played to local knowledge. But Tosha, third fastest through, 4:57.3. So what, 8 exactly? 49.57, yeah, 8 seconds, 7.5 seconds off the pace of Eric Canet. And our penultimate, easy for me to say, machine into the stage, Ricky Brabec. So Brabec on the Honda, first time here again. So he and Luciano Benavides, well placed in the championship, but coming into a brand new event. Big fan of open desert, soft sand and flowing dunes. Not going to be seeing much of that this week. So it's a big question mark. How will he fare? How will he adapt to these very different natured stages? The traditional Europe to Africa Dakar would quite often have had several days of stages like these. Certainly the Lisbon-Dakar events did. And finally, Daniel Sanders, the Aussie, is in. The record setter this season. He's won all the events so far this year. Back in 2022, Sam Sunderland became champion, winning 2 events in the season. That was then the record. Daniel's won 3 already, 4 on the bounce. He is unbeaten since Rally du Maroc last year, so 4 wins in a row. And if he does finish on the podium, he will be champion no matter what anybody else does. So, to a degree, he could go and win not just a 5th in a row, but a 4th in the season and set all sorts of new W2RC records. But will he just be a fraction more cautious and look to tie up the championship here? What's more important, setting a record for wins in the season or being the world champion? Well, I think we pretty much all know the answer to that, and it's not records in the season, is it? So it's going to be interesting to see how the Aussie attacks this, because as always, attack is the best form of self-preservation. Because if you're running at much less than 100%, then you're not riding the bike the way you should, it doesn't work the way it should, you don't work the way it should, and your mind starts to wander a little. So I'm sure he will be looking to try and come out on top of the times here. Luciano Benavides has finished the stage 5:02.4, so he's 9th quickest. And Etienne van Beveren, the Frenchman, is now the top Frenchman in 5th place, 5 minutes 0.0. So he's 11.1 seconds behind the fastest time of Edgar Canet. And just 2 machines remain in the stage, Ricky Brabec and here Daniel Sanders. The Honda and the KTM at the moment. Red Bull KTM factory racing rider Edgar Canet is fastest of all. And not by hundredths of a second either. So Ricky Brabec comes across the flying finish and down to the stop line. We'll get a time for him in a moment. And then Daniel Sanders will complete the stage around a minute after him. And then we will get ready to send through our four-wheeled competitors, our other four-wheeled competitors. Yes, I know, quads. And first of them will be, actually won't be coming in for 25 minutes. So a little bit of time for the officials to get everything set up for the cars. But again, you can see there are a number of places where this prologue stage is pretty well rutted. And the problem with that, of course, is that some of those ruts are going to act a little bit like tram lines for the cars. And the first ones who are going to discover that will be our championship leaders. Have we got a time yet for Ricky Brabec? Yes, we have. 19th, 5 minutes 8.6. So he was just ahead of Bradley Cox, the final man to cross the line. Our championship leader, Daniel Sanders. So will the Aussie just keep doing what he's been doing and race through to the win? Now, he may not necessarily race through to the win of the prologue. That's what happens at the end of the event that's going to be critical. And if he can finish on the podium, gets his time card back, then he will end up as the 2025 champion. So, found Brabec, Santos, Amaral, Sam Howes way down in 24th, 5:22. And the fastest time has just come in, 4 minutes 47.0 for Daniel Sanders. So is he going to take it easy, or is he going to ride the way he's been riding all season long? There is your answer. 2.9 seconds quicker than anybody else.
Daniel,
Aussie.
best time. I think it's the best time to start the race.
Yeah, it's always a good start when you prologue first, I think. So, yeah, it was a very intense mix of terrain. The first one, a lot of slippery stuff, and then a lot of good sand. So, yeah, we just had to go as fast as we could without many mistakes, and we did pretty good. So happy to finish first for the prologue, and yeah, ready to select a position for tomorrow.
Congrats. Thank you.
So where is he going to start on the road? Well, I think they can expect pretty much a lot of what they've seen already. So that is the prologue. We started off with our EV, the first electric bike, and then ran through our quad competition, and then through Rally 3, Rally 2, and into Rally GP. So the last few runners pushed our quads out of the top 25. So the top two quads were Kinas of Lithuania, Martinez of France, the Thunder Racing duo on the two CF Moto machines. Top in Rally 3, an astonishing time. Second and third fastest in Rally 3 were the Amaral brothers, and they were 21st and 23rd, with Dabrowski's Rally 2 machine between them. So the two Honda riding Portuguese aces, 21st and 23rd. They were second and third in Rally 3. Thomas Zoldas of France was 11th overall as the top Rally 3 rider. And then coming through in Rally 2, Daniel Sanders, finally the last man on the stage, pipping Edgar Canet of Spain to the top time by 2.9 seconds. So 4 minutes 47 for Daniel Sanders. Completes the prologue as the fastest man. So Daniel Sanders fastest of all, Edgar Canet second quickest, then Michael Doherty, the South African, third quickest, a 4:54, so 7 seconds off the leader. And then fourth place was Tosha Sharena. So he was the second best placed of the Spaniards. And actually, he was the best of the Hondas. So top factory Monster Energy Honda effort, 4:57. 4:57.5, so actually 10.5 seconds off the Red Bull KTM factory entry of Daniel Sanders. Well, welcome back to the prologue for the 2025 BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. And you see some of our guests are enjoying a little bit of catering. And sandwiches might be getting a bit sandy shortly. A little bit of breeze. Beautiful afternoon to get this very short prologue underway. Now, for our two-wheeled and quad motorcycle competitors, this was about 4 minutes 50 was the fastest time we had, just over. This might well be quite fast and furious for our four-wheeled competitors, and the opposite of the motorcycle field, they will go with the championship leader first. So it's the reigning champion Nasser al-Attiyah who will get us underway in his Dacia Sand Rider. So Nasser, hugely experienced, won the last 3 W2RC titles. He is our current points leader, and last year he was the event winner here as well. Won the prologue on BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal 2024 and won the event as well. But that was in a ProDrive Hunter, this year in the Dacia Sand Rider, and that's not the only change either. Quick look back at what happened in the motorcycle class. It was our points leader, Daniel Sanders of Australia, who came out on top, 4:47.0, 2/10 of a second, 200ths of a second ahead of Edgar Canet. 2/10 it was, in fact, ahead of Edgar Canet, who was second quickest. So, ready for Nasser al-Attiyah to get us underway any second now. In the quads, it was the 2 CF Moto riders, Kanapkinas, the Lithuanian, and Martinez, the Frenchman, for Thunder Racing, who were on top of the pile. So who's going to come out on top here? Well, again, as you'll be familiar with, 3 classes. We've got the Ultimate class, Challengers and SSVs. So the T1 Plus in the Ultimate class, T3s effectively in the Challenger class, and then the SSVs. We have 61 starters on more than 2 wheels, at least in theory, in our prologue. 54 points scorers so far this season in the World Rally Raid Championship. Nasser al-Attiyah leading the standings. He is 20 points ahead of South Africa's Henk Lattigan, with Luca Moraes a further 5 points back. So this could be critical. Winner on in Abu Dhabi, the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, Nasser. He's had mixed fortunes on that event. Won it and has crashed out very heavily a couple of years ago. Again, competing last year here in the ProDrive Hunter, this year in the Dacia Sand Rider, and a change of co-driver as well. He and Edouard Boulanger have gone their separate ways. Boulanger is in the field, but alongside Nasser al-Attiyah for the first time here is Belgium's Fabien Lecam. So we are underway with the prologue, and immediately the level of dust in the air is enormously increased as these hugely powerful 4-wheel drive T1 Plus machines will be digging up what the bikes left behind them. Now it is, the organisers say, 96% sand. Not sure which percentage is not sand. There is no tarmac, so it is sand and a tiny bit of gravel. I think that's just a percentage of bits of stone in the sand, rather than an actual gravel patch. So the Qatari motorsport legend gets us underway, and immediately maximum attack. And all of the drivers were talking about the length or lack of length in the prologue. 5.03 kilometers shortest prologue ever in W2RC history. And the little breeze that there was earlier on does seem to have sort of faded away a little bit in the late afternoon. 4:30 here, just coming on. And there is not much to keep the dust down. To suggest that some of the ruts might be affecting these machines, and yet they might. So in stage as well behind him, our forward competitors starting at 2-minute intervals. Henk Lattigan last week was competing here in Portugal as a little bit of warm-up, and this is the first rally raid in Europe for Henk Lattigan. Nasser al-Attiyah, though, winner on this event last year. Okay, so it was very different weather conditions, wet and very muddy. So here in a much drier prologue in Grandola. I think that's a shot we're going to be needing a lot more of. The trackside cameramen, I'm hoping they've all got masks on, because they're going to be breathing in a lot of dust otherwise. Here's Lattigan in the Hilux Evo, to buy Toyota Gazoo Racing. So first rally raid in Europe for the South African, but he's saying these stages feel a bit like home, and that might be the case as well for Luca Moraes in the second of the Toyotas. It's all gone dark, hasn't it? Except it hasn't even remotely, but that's the level of the dust, and that's actually going to be quite an issue now, because that is not blowing, and on some of these corners visibility is going to be very tough. Seth Quintero, another man with a new co-driver. He's got fellow American Andrew Short in the navigator's seat. So Short, an ex-motocrosser turned rally raid co-driver, so there's an interesting career path for you. Here's Luca Moraes, third place last year, with Armand Monleon alongside him, as he has this year in the Toyota Hilux. Moraes last year run by Overdrive, this year part of Toyota Gazoo Racing, the factory effort. Lies third in the standings. He was second in Abu Dhabi, third in South Africa. Only 13th, though, on the Dakar. Whereas Lattigan finished second and Nasser al-Attiyah finished in fourth place. So that's the big points gap. This is going to be fun, isn't it? Picking them out in this. So al-Attiyah, first man into the prologue. Just saw another shot of his Dacia. 201, Yazid Al-Rajhi. And Yazid, as ever, with Timo Gottschalk alongside him. Yeah, I think the photographers are wise to take an extra step back as Nasser comes across the finish line somewhere over there in the trees. So he is through the stage, and we will get, in a moment or two, some times for him. Here's Overdrive Racing's Juan Cruz Jacopini as we cut back to 201. And this is Al-Rajhi. Our winner on the Dakar has had a disappointing season since then. 19th place in Abu Dhabi. Did not compete in South Africa, so Yazid, this will be a very different event, very different sort of conditions for him. Here's Jacopini in the Overdrive Racing Toyota. Argentine with local-ish co-driver Daniel Oliveras. A lot of fans out in the service areas and watching on the stages.
How was it?
Yeah, very difficult, not easy, but it's a good job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, not easy for Nasser, and he was the man who had clear air in front of him for most of the stage, or at least nobody kicking up the dust before he got there. You can see the dust very much hanging in the trees here. So, Nasser, 5:02.9. Henk Lattigan in the second of the TGR Toyotas, 5:07, so 5.4 seconds slower. Here's Sebastian Loeb. Loeb really looking forward to this event. Last year competed in the Challenger class. He'd already been signed by Dacia. And his new co-driver is Edouard Boulanger, ex-Nasser al-Attiyah, ex-Stefan Peter-Hansel as well. But Seb saying that because of the short nature of this stage, this prologue, really putting the pressure on the drivers. So there he is in the Dacia. Behind him, we just got a very quick glimpse of another of the Toyotas, João Ferreira. And Ferreira in the sandy beige. One of the two beige Toyotas. Also run by Toyota Gazoo Racing, but by the South African arm of TGR. Ooh, and Loeb running out wide, losing time there. Sebastian Loeb, man who's had a lot of success rallying in Portugal, and actually was saying that the nature of the stages through the event not dissimilar to Rally Portugal. So you can see João Pereira there with Felipe Palmeiro alongside him, all Portuguese lineup in the number 240 Toyota Hilux Evo.
Lucas, como é que estava? Muito pó, acredito que tenha sido problema.
Foi, tem bastante pó. Eu não sei se era nosso ou se era dos outros competidores que estavam cruzando. Então foi bem difícil, acho que a gente perdeu um tempo ali. Mas tudo bem, só o prólogo, acho que fomos bem dentro do limite e amanhã começa de verdade. Mas agradecer a todo o público de Portugal, que é muito legal correr assim com tanta gente.
Obrigado, Lucas.
So Lucas, fifth fastest, 5:05.1. So 2.2 seconds slower than Nasser al-Attiyah. Henk Lattigan second, Luca Moraes third. Seth Quintero, barely saw him. He finished 43rd last year after a 5-hour penalty. He's come through in fourth. Yazid Al-Raji in fifth. Jacopini fifth. Sixth, Sebastian Loeb's not got a time through for him. Haven't got a time for Al-Raji either. Just saw a quick shot of Carlos Sainz in the Ford Raptor. Ford Raptor Evo, so built by M Sport, Cockermouth in Cumbria, the firm that builds Ford's rally weapons as well as rally raid weapons. 206, quick shot of the overdrive, the overdrive racing machine. I beg your pardon, it's TGR, that's the South African of Saud Variawa. He's got Francois Cazalet alongside him. Another hugely experienced rally raid competitor. There's Jacopini. And look at the rear end of the Ford Raptor. This is the evolution. There's a lot of different changes, detailed changes in the Evo version of the Raptor, Carlos Sainz was saying.
How was it? It seems a little tricky with the dust.
Yeah, it's a lot of dust. I think it's not normal, but also not fair, you know. And to Prologue to start position, but what happened, it's happened.
Thank you very much.
So that's Yazid Al-Raji. And that's the problem with, it's not that it's a short prologue, it's that it's a very twisty prologue and lots of trees, so the dust just hangs and floats around as you zigzag through this wooded area. And we saw a little bit of it from the bikes, seeing a lot of it now from the cars. Here's the X-Raid Mini JCW. This is the car of Denis Krotov and Konstantin Chiltsov from Kazakhstan. Daniel Schroeder's Amaral is in there somewhere as well. There he is. I have to say, hats off to the director, because half his cameras will just be showing brown clouds at the moment. Trying to pick out cars in here is not easy. So Yazid Al-Raji, 5:18, 16 seconds off the pace. 2:17, Denis Krotov. In the Sven Quant run machine. Yazid Al-Raji hoping to celebrate Saudi National Day today, maybe with a prologue win. That was not to be. He was the winner of the Dakar and had a crash in a Baja in Jordan in the middle of the summer. Recovered from that. Did the Baja event here last week. Juan Cruz Jacopini, very familiar with Baja conditions, so fourth fastest, perhaps not a surprise to see the Argentine well up. Little queue at the finish line here as well. There's the second of the Dacias. Sebastian Loeb just ahead of João Ferreira. .210 now. This is the Energielandia rally team, Toyota of Eric Gottschall. So this is a three-car entry Polish team, and they are all related. So a father, a son, and an uncle, or the son's uncle, the father's brother.
1 minute interval. It looks tricky with all this dust.
It's a lot of dust. It was really difficult. We had to stop nearly sometime in the stage because we didn't see the road. So, yeah, it was very difficult.
Thank you.
Yeah, with 61 cars, a 2-minute interval would have pretty much taken us into the dark. So 1 minute interval, well, yeah, they're in the dark half the test. So 2:10, Eric Gottschall. And there is a third Dacia, isn't there, of Cristina Gutierrez, who's in there. Marek Gottschall, 2:11 in the second of the Energielandia machines, and there is the second of the Fords. Now that is the Ford
João,
Raptor.
Terceiro lugar até agora, 2 segundos do Nasser. Neste pó era difícil fazer melhor.
Era impossível, nem vi, a pista já está toda destruída. Foi tentar não comprometer nada e temos uma boa posição para amanhã. Não sei, não foi muito feliz o prólogo, mas para já estamos em terceiro, temos uma boa escolha de ordem de partida para amanhã.
Obrigado, João.
João Ferreira comes in third in his Toyota, ahead of Henk Lattigan. So Nasser al-Attiyah, who had clear air, then Lucas Moraes, and is that a problem for Carlos Sainz? It looked like it was. Cristina Gutierrez in the stage, and that is Sainz. So a tough start to this one for the Ford Raptor. Gets it going again. And that will have cost him a lot of time, and that is going to cost him out on the stage. So here's Marek Gottschall with Massey Marton alongside him. So this is Eric's dad. Cristina Gutierrez we saw in the Dacia. So it's the second of the Energielandia team from Poland with their Toyota Hiluxes. And the third of which will be Michal Gottschall. He's got Spanish co-driver Diego Ortega alongside him. 2:11 is Marek. Again, like everybody else now, running out wide there over the bank on the outside of the corner. There we go, there's a shot. Can see what's going on. 2:17 is the Mini of Denis Krotov. You can see how the dust just drifts across. Francisco Barretta, the Portuguese hotelier, with Paulo Fuchsia, another Toyota Hilux Evo. That's a self-run team. And again, see all these cars running wide and then cutting the corner. It's carnage. Miguel Gochal, Diego Ortega alongside him. So he is Eric's uncle and Marek's brother. Now setting off the first, the two SVR-run Toyotas. And already running a long way off track. Just avoiding that big drainage ditch. That might have been a bit of an eye-opener.
Carlos, condiciones muy difíciles con todo este po.
Sí, creo que no se ha preparado bien, aparte que con este polvo habría que dar mínimo 2 minutos, no 1, y habría que haberlo humedecido, mojado, porque así no se puede competir.
Gracias.
Yeah, Carlos also saying that 1 minute intervals definitely not enough. So, and he's had problems with the Ford as well. 6 minutes 30, 1 minute 27.8 seconds off the pace. Well, that's when he was stopped. Nevertheless, I don't think he hit the tree. Nevertheless, really tough conditions. 2:18, this is Christian Baumgart with Luis Felipe Eckel alongside. So the SVR team, Brazilian team, with Marcos and Christian Baumgart driving the two machines, the two brothers. The South African SVR crew running these Toyota Hiluxes. And the stage is just about big enough for these T1 Plus vehicles, but only really if you can see where you're going. It's all well and good the driver calling notes for the corners, but if you can't see where the corner is, and a lot of the time you can't, and they are going at pretty decent speed, even on these short straights. So al-attiyah fastest, Lucas Morais second, João Ferreira now coming through in third place. The Toyota Gazoo Racing entry. Henk Lattigan down to fourth. Sebastian Loeb doing well, fifth place in his Dacia. And then Jacopini, the Argentine, Joan Cruz Jacopini in sixth position. So Yazid Al-Raji already down to eighth, Seth Quintero down to ninth, and Denis Krotov came across the line 12th in a Mini. Sainz is currently 15th of 15 and is going to be way out in the back when we start the event proper tomorrow. Very tough for Carlos Sainz. 2-on-3, just got a...
No fue fácil con todo este po.
Sí, muy difícil de ver y además vamos con algo roto en el coche, así que no ha sido muy buena etapa, pero bueno, mañana es lo que cuenta realmente, así que a ver qué tal, pero ha sido un poquito difícil para nosotros.
Gracias.
Christina saying, okay, we'll just have to try and make up the lost time tomorrow when we get into the event proper. So where did she come in? Just ahead of Carlos Sainz. Well, currently just ahead, but a minute faster than Carlos Sainz. 5:38 to 5:02 of the fastest driver. But her time, 5:38.5. Carlos Sainz, 6 minutes 30. So he will absolutely plummet down the order. 2:20 now. This is the version 1.0, if you like, of the Raptor. As we look here at 214, cutting back to Michael Gottschall. So he's not in the same Energylandia livery. And this is Adaldo Weisheimer. So Adaldo Weisheimer from Brazil in his Mini JCW. So Jordan Serdaridis, the Greek driver, we'll get another shot of him again, I'm sure, in a moment or two, in the first customer Ford Raptor. So it's basically the version that Carlos Sainz has run so far this year. Sainz in the Evo version. And Serdaridis planning to be in Morocco in October.
É verdade, na minha opinião está pouco impraticável, acho que deviam ter dado aqui mais tempo entre os concorrentes. Numa das curvas acabámos por nos interceptar com o indivíduo da frente, com o concorrente da frente, o que fez muito pó, tivemos que parar cerca de se calhar 6, 7, 8 segundos.
Francisco Barreto saying lots of the corners were really hard to see, so much dust.
Portanto, vamos dar o nosso melhor daqui para a frente.
And again, tomorrow conditions should be much better. 1 minute intervals, you can see exactly why, with the size of the field, they needed to do that. But on the other hand, not easy for anybody. Lionel and Lucia Bow here in the Mini 224, another of the X-Raid team cars. So this is father Lionel driving and daughter Lucy is doing the co-driving. As we cut back to the SVR Toyotas. 2 and 8 here is Christian Baumgart, and the Marcos already, I think, at the line. Yeah, no time yet for Baumgart. Oh yes, we have. Marcos came in 12th fastest so far. 2:29 overdrives Hernan Garces, the Chilean duo of Hernan Garces and Juan Pablo Latrache. And regulars with overdrive in their Toyota Hilux fleet. Both are our ultimate class competitors. Brazilian flag on the roof of the Mini.
Olá Marcos, foi difícil com este pó todo no ar.
Nossa, foi muita poeira, muito difícil, mas é isso, né? Portugal tem que ter emoção à parte.
Eu sei que está habituado a condições duras, o que é que espera amanhã?
Amanhã fazer o melhor, ritmo, pace, ter o bom pace ali, esperar os outros se enroscarem e pegar a oportunidade o melhor possível. No Brasil a gente fala que nem um mineirinho, vamos andando devagarzinho.
Obrigado, boa sorte, Marcos.
So Marcus Baumgart from Brazil there. Baumgart, his brother came in just ahead of him, actually. So Christian, we haven't heard from, but he has crossed the line, 5 minutes 21.3. So, in fact, Marcus was faster, 12th, Christian 13th currently. So in the little battle of the brothers in their identical Land Cruisers, 0.3 of a second apart. Here is Christian.
Com bastante areia, muito difícil de andar. Os carros que largaram na frente, eu acho que teve uma vantagem melhor aí. Mas foi muito bom de fazer esse prólogo, coração batendo a 1000. Bom voltar aqui em Portugal, ainda mais na etapa mundial. E estou bem feliz.
Eu falei com o Marcos agora, ele disse que amanhã é andar maneirinho. É esse o plano?
Não existe andar pianinho aqui. Se for andar pianinho, a gente vai para casa descansar ou vamos para a praia. Aqui a gente veio fazer rally e vamos acelerar.
É isso mesmo, obrigado, Cristian.
All right, well, there you heard from Christian and Marcus together. Seterides, where did he come in? Has he given us a time? Yeah, so the customer Ford, 19th. Carlos Sainz 21st currently, but a minute between them, 55 seconds actually. Jordan was faster. So they're through. The Weisheimer Mini 223, 18th fastest. So he is through the stage as well. And what about Lionel Bode and his daughter, Lionel and Lucy? They are 20, they haven't set a time yet, or haven't completed the stage yet. 2:32, that's Mark Mustermann and Michael Jasch, the Austrians. In a self-funded and self-run Toyota Hilux. Toyota, the privateer weapon of choice. Just saw Mustermann. This is another one, and this is the Belgian-Dutch duo, Vincent Thies and Arjen van Thiel. And in the passenger seat, probably trying to figure out exactly where the corners are that he's got on his notes. Run by the RT off-road team. Absolutely tearing into this surface. These huge tyres shifting a lot of dust. .235, this is the past racing Ford Ranger, Daniel Alonso. Alonso with Candido Carrera alongside. And French crew. All French crew, all Spanish crew. So the older version of Ford's rally machine, or W2RC machine, the Ranger, being superseded by the Raptor. A couple of Rangers in the field as well. 231. This is Isidre Esteve with Jose Maria Villalobos alongside Rick van der Brink with Guido Heismans. So in the Century CR7 run by Team SRT, car from South Africa, and they are very much formulating plans to compete with it on the Dakar. And we're out of non-stop Toyota Hilux territory, almost non-stop, and into some more esoteric devices here. 237, Jose Ruggiera, another Portuguese crew. He's teamed up with Nelson Ramos in another Ford Ranger. It's the Portuguese team, the PRK Sport Rally team running that. 236, Rick van der Brink and Guido Heismans. And there is 237, the Ranger. Here's Mark Mustermann in the Hilux. Must be almost at the end of the stage by now. He will be the next to finish. Next time we're due to see will be from 232 Mark Mustermann. And then Vincent Thies. Struggling for traction here a little. You just see at the moment they pick up the throttle, it's just tearing at the surface. 238, Justin Birchall and Andy Powell from Great Britain. Another rally raid device built in South Africa, the red-lined Revo VK56, run by the Terra Talk team for Justin Birchall and Andy Powell. Vincent Thijs, Arjen van der Thiel finishing the stage, 238. Here is Birchall. The team is Terra Talk. And the red-lined Revo VK56 is the vehicle. Purpose-built, rally raid, assault weapon. And this is the red-lined Navara VK56, run by the Vulture rally team. Germany's Marcus Vulture and co-driver Stefan Stensky aboard. So based on the Navara, so it's a couple of those red-lined developed Navaras, because Dutchman Bert Morik is running one as well, and that is actually run by Red-Lined Europe. So we didn't see much of Rick van der Brink's Century, the Century CR7. This is Bert Morik. This is the second of the red-lined Navaras. Robert Forde-Porter is his co-driver. I've actually situated that hospitality area quite nicely, where the wind is blowing the dust away. Whether by luck or good fortune, I'm not quite sure. They've done a pretty decent job. Well, a lot of these might end up being vehicles that Carlos Sainz is kicking his heels behind at this stage. Sainz still the slowest time recorded, and the next slowest time, which was Daniel Alonso in the past racing Ford Ranger, was still 7 seconds quicker than Sainz managed in the Evo Raptor. So Sainz is going to be starting way behind any of his potential rivals, and that does not mean good stage conditions. 237 here, and this is Jose Ruggiera. I was wondering when we're going to get a quick shot of him. 242, the all-white car, Richard Timmerman and Carl Sanders. Run by ORC, Oyster Racing Competition. It's that way. There you go, there's a proper co-driver signal. Going left, 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 keep going left, still more left. Dab on the brakes to settle the tail. Right, everybody else running high up the bank there, and again, there's not much bank left, is there? Everybody's just ploughing through it. Almost like it's some sort of mini June peak. So have we had across the line recently? Well, let's see where some of our more entertaining machines have got to. Cristina Gutierrez in her Dacia down to 23rd now. Not too many of our more recent runners have improved on the earlier times. You can probably imagine why, seeing how everything's getting cut up. The Gottschalks, though, the Polish father and actually his father and uncle, Eric and Marcel.
Foi bom tempo, tendo em conta aqui as condições, muito pó, difícil seguramente.
Sim, muito técnico, muito difícil. Apanhar pó de nós próprios, apanhar pó do carro da frente, mas isto é para todos. Nós estamos aqui para chegar ao fim bem e, apesar de tudo, acho que não correu mal.
Qual vai ser a abordagem para amanhã? Penso que deduz pelas suas palavras que vai com alguma calma, sobretudo amanhã.
Sim, a prova só termina domingo, portanto amanhã e na segunda etapa há que fazer as coisas com juízo, com calma e atacar depois na parte final.
Obrigado, boa sorte.
Yeah, Jose Rogero again agreeing conditions pretty tricky among the local drivers. Everybody is still struggling here. It's visibility rather than the terrain that is becoming a problem. So let's take a look. Justin Birchall, Andy Powell in the Terry Talk entry to Revo. They were the 31st car in and are 25th. So not a bad run through from them. And so far, Carlos Sainz down to 32nd place. Now then, here is one of our more entertaining competitors as we get into the first of our Challenger fields. Ford factory driver Matthias Ekström with long-term co-driver Emil Bergqvist in the Can-Am. So was entered into the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, fell ill, didn't finish the event, and Ekström not scheduled to compete here. He and Carlos Sainz, Carlos was saying, have been basically splitting the kilometers in the Raptor. So Carlos was always due to do this one, but Matthias Ekström, well, he's doing a bit of rallycross. His EKS team building race cars as well, but Ekström always likes to be behind the wheel. Always figures you're going to learn more by driving anything anywhere than you are by not driving something. And so here he is, first of our challengers. So we saw Richard Timmerman, didn't see 243, Johan Senders, the Dutchman, in the Fiat fullback prototype. And the second of our challengers, this is the Taurus T3 Max of Nicolas Cavigliasso of Italy. He's our points leader in the Challenger category. My Valentina is alongside on the notes. And Cavigliasso could end up as the champion here. Here's 243 Johan Senders. So that is the Fiat fullback prototype. It's actually run by the same team as Richard Timmerman's Toyota Hilux. Does look more like a Toyota than a Fiat, but there we go. Navarro for BBR Motorsport, second in the Challenger points at the moment. Navarro with Carlos Sachs alongside. I beg your pardon, Navarro with Juan Rosa Viñas alongside. All Spanish lineup in the BBR Motorsport machine. With Carlos Sachs alongside is Dania Akil, the Saudi driver. Change to Carlos from Stefan Dupree. So another Taurus, again run by BBR Motorsport. She's getting more and more experienced as she continues under Toyota's wing. As one of the younger development drivers. Dania Akil. This will be very different from the big dunes of the Dakar. I think on this one, every day is going to be a learning day. And while the Dakar is clearly for everybody the #1 priority, it is the jewel in the crown. You're not going to be a world champion if you don't do the entire world championship. So this is Adam Kus with Dimitri Tirso alongside. Kus, the Polish Taurus driver, run by the Akpol recycling team. As we come back to Dania Akil. So Poles will know, like everybody else, in their Challenger machines, in these T3 entries, they'll know all about the dust, won't they? NASA Racing Team, their brand new Taurus Evo Max entered for the first time here. Gonzalo Guerrero of Portugal and Bruno Giacomi of Argentina, the co-driver. And an astonishing second place finish on the Dakar for Gonzalo, his first event. Now, he didn't then go on to Abu Dhabi in South Africa, so this is actually only his second W2RC event, and in the brand new Evo Max version of the Taurus. Whoa, lively moment for Gonzalo Guerrero. This will be another of the BBR Motorsport machines, Pedro Gonçalves with Rui Franco, so an all-Portuguese crew. Somebody in the scrutineering bay ought to have said to them, nobody's going to know who you are if you put your number there. They would still have done it anyway. Everybody knows who we are.
Hello, Matthias, welcome to Portugal. We know that you are fast. You just put 25 seconds over Nicolas. It's good enough for first place?
I don't know. We were second behind Nasser in the overall, so I think it was a good time. We had a clean stage and car worked fine, so we are happy with that.
What's going to be the approach for tomorrow?
Full gas. That's why we are here.
Thank you very much.
I love Ekstrom. It's not a factory drive. I mean, it's almost literally just for the fun of doing it, maximum attack. Of course it is. Of course it is. And he is second fastest of all. So his team of three, T3 machine, only beaten by Matthias Ekstrom, and by half a second. That's all. Matthias Ekstrom, only beaten by Nasser al-attiyah. Al-attiyah 5:02.9, 5:03.4 for Matthias Ekstrom, just half a second behind Nasser. That's bonkers pace. So with the BP Ultimate Adventure team, very experienced, multiple Portuguese champion Miguel Barbosa, with João Rato alongside, another Taurus T3. Miguel Barbosa is going to be a big fan favourite here on these Portuguese stages. Chasing him through, 3:11, Helder Oliveira, another very experienced Portuguese competitor. He's got compatriot Carlos Mendes alongside him. They're in the Old Friends Rally team. They've got a fairly large portfolio of entries here. And that Can-Am for Helder Oliveira. And there's Oliveira. So the second of our T3 entries, the second of our challengers is number 305, and that is Adam Kus, the Polish driver, and he has come in 8th place overall, and Pau Navarro 3rd in Challenger, and he is 10th overall. Wow. And just for completeness, Carlos Sainz is ahead of most of... no, he's not. He's not ahead of anybody who has yet set a time, including the challengers. So Charles Munster, is he going to come in front? He's with Max Delfino in this BBR Motorsport entry. Won the Baja Aragon recently in Spain in SSV. So a little bit like Matthias Ekström, just jumping between categories as it suits. Nuno Rogero and Pedro Santos for Portugal. Number 315, another Can-Am Maverick. And this is the Tour Car Racing Team entry.
Muito difícil, muitas linhas, perigoso, porque as linhas são gigantes, basicamente é ir no carril e tentar acreditar. Tivemos 2 momentos grandes que podíamos ter captado, mas conseguimos salvar, perdemos imenso tempo, muito tempo. Eu não faço ideia exatamente do resultado, mas dei o meu máximo, como sempre. Espero que seja o suficiente para pelo menos estar à frente.
Obrigado, Gonçalo. Boa sorte para amanhã.
Gonçalo Guerreiro. And let's have I'm going to have to scroll up for him, aren't I? Daniel Akil, by the way, came in 18th overall. Pau Navarro now down to 4th because Guerreiro has gone quickest in Challenger, ahead of Matthias Ekström, and has tied Nasser al-Attiyah for the fastest time in the Prologue. 5:02.9 for al-Attiyah in the T1 Plus Dacia, and 5:02.9, the exact same time for the Nasser Racing machine, and that is the brand new Taurus Evo Max. Excellent stuff from Gonçalo Guerreiro. So catching up now with our fields. This is 316, isn't it? This is Pim Klaassen and Mark Laan of the Netherlands. Another Taurus.
Tudo bem, comecei bocado a frio e ainda não tinha conduzido este carro na areia, portanto só a partir de meia comecei a ter boas sensações, mas mesmo assim acho que foi positivo.
Obrigado, Pedro.
Pedro Gonçalves coming across the line in, quite a long way down, yeah, 29th place. So, yeah, start number 42, Pedro Gonçalves.
Miguel, como é que foi este prólogo?
Difícil, muito pó, muito enrolado, já muito cavado, um bocado no pódio da frente também, enfim, não se vê muito.
Estratégia para amanhã?
Nada, é continuar na prova longa, vai ser 2 dias muito longos agora, é continuar a atacar e a pensar no fim da prova.
Obrigado, Miguel.
Miguel Barbosa, like everyone else, explaining how much of an effect the dust is having. where has he come in? He has come in 8th overall, and he is 3rd at the moment in Challenger, as we see the dust left by Alexandre Pinto, with Bernardo Oliveira alongside him, another of the old friends rally team, with a Polaris RZR Pro R. Presumably you have to put the name down the side because it's not wide enough to put it across the back or the front. So it's a new machine for Pinto, the points leader, looking to try and claim the title here on his home event. That would be quite the special moment. 404.
Desculpa, Helder, como é que foi aqui o prólogo?
Prólogo bastante traiçoeiro, depois dos carros que passaram, já está cheio de traços e muito pó. Estive aqui agora mesmo no fim quase uma saída de estrada por causa do meu próprio pró da outra curva, mas o que interessa é que correu tudo limpinho, sem problemas de maior, muito público, que é sempre bonito de ver, e a prova a sério começa amanhã.
E a sério amanhã, qual vai ser a estratégia?
Bem, nós estamos a lutar pela categoria Challenger, portanto sabemos que temos aí carros mais competitivos se calhar com o nosso, portanto estamos a apostar na estratégia de rally raid, rolar de forma rápida, manter proximidade para os primeiros e tentar que a fiabilidade nos ajude.
Obrigado, obrigado.
Yeah, they're all coming into the finish area fast and furious. Helder Oliveira looking forward to tomorrow when the real event starts, he says. 401, Alexandre Pinto, our points leader. We saw a brief shot of 404 as well, which is Jose Diaz and Rui Peter, the Santag Racing Polaris, also from Poland. 402 here, Enrico Gaspari and Fausto Mota. First time out for them with the Old Friends Rally team. Here are their teammates in 401, Pinto Oliveira. Portuguese duo. That was Ruben Rodriguez, I think, 410, with Rui Paulo alongside him. Run by Rio Seco Racing, another Can-Am Maverick. Nasa al-Attiyah still on top of the times, with Gustavo Guerrero tied to the 100th, or to the 10th at least, with him. So the car that was first out, and the car that was 41st out, João Dias and Rui Peter, 50th of our 61 starters in the Santag Racing Polaris. Another of the little fleet of Santag Racing entries.
Nuno, chegar aqui em 3 rodas, deu para chegar ao fim, o que é que aconteceu?
Então, muito bom dia, fui numa curva à direita, bati numa pedra que estava muito saída e cortei logo o pneu.
E amanhã como é que vai ser?
Amanhã vai ser a curtir, vai ser como hoje.
Obrigado, Nuno.
He's talking about that right-hander where everybody is flying all over the place. This one, yeah, you just digging yourself in there, aren't you? Not at all as map, that one. So Santag Racing's Alonso Oliveira and Fabio Belo. And there are going to be a lot of T3 machines ahead of a lot of Ultimate machines. So let's see, have we got a time through for Alexandre Pinto? Not yet. So Pinto is the leader in SSV. Points leader at any rate. Just heard a moment or two ago from Nuno Ruggiero, so we should be getting close. 4:05. Here's Afonso Oliveira and Fabio Bello. Santag Racing Polaris. Another of our SSV competitors. 4:06. Luis Cidade and Walter Cardoso. Luis fully committed there. The South Racing Can-Am. Working hard there, Luis Cidade. Behind him, Paulo Rodriguez and João Miranda. Rodriguez and Miranda. Another Rio Seco entry.
Foi prólogo calculoso, portanto, este carro é a primeira corrida que estamos a fazer com ele aqui no Campeonato do Mundo. Ainda não conhecia bem o carro nos regos, na areia, digamos, portanto foi um bocadinho a descobrir o carro, mas acho que correu bem, o ritmo foi limpinho, portanto não cometemos erros, não apanhámos sustos, portanto o resultado vier é bem-vindo. Claro que demos o nosso melhor dentro dos limites, porque amanhã a posição de partida é importante, por causa do pó que se faz sentir.
Com maior conhecimento do carro também vai soltando-se um pouco mais e vai começando a andar bastante mais depressa, acredito.
Sem dúvida que esta corrida vai ser um desenvolver entre piloto e carro, portanto fiz já alguns testes, o carro sem dúvida que tem muito potencial, agora é uma questão de quilómetros, não há outra forma de ganhar essa à vontade, portanto os quilómetros é que...
Obrigado, Alexandre, boa sorte para amanhã.
Alexandre Pinto, our points leader in SSV, and his time good enough for 7th fastest, not in SSV, overall. 7th fastest overall, 4:08. BP Ultimate Adventure Team Polaris. And this is Luis Portela and David Magre of Portugal. And 4:10, Ruben Rodriguez and Rui Paulo, another Portuguese duo. And they're in another of the Rio Seco entries, another Can-Am Maverick R. Looking down on the MM Rally machine of Flipvic.
Correu bem, com muita dificuldade, muito pó. Pusermos a sair de minuto a minuto, acho que a dificuldade está igual para todos, mas está muito difícil de ver por onde se anda. Mas no modo geral correu bem, não tivemos muitos erros, tivemos de tirar pé assim em muitos sítios por causa da pouca visibilidade, mas tudo ok.
Obrigado, boa sorte para amanhã.
João Dias, 2nd fastest in SSV. Alexandre Pinto, 5:08.9. João Dias, 5:19.7. So 11 seconds back, very nearly. But 18th place overall. And behind a bunch of T1 Ultimate machines, but also just the first 4 challengers are ahead of the 2nd placed SSV machine. So they might be coming through towards the end of the field, but these guys are lacking very little in terms of pace.
Afonso, acredito que não tenha sido fácil com este pó, vocês sobretudo sem vidro à frente, torna as coisas mais difíceis ainda.
Tornou, quando chegámos ali à parte mais fechada dentro das sobreiras, apanhámos muito pó, tivemos quase que parar e tinha regos gigantes, o prólogo bastante complicado, sim.
Amanhã vai conseguir andar, qual é a estratégia para amanhã?
Acredito que sim.
Força para amanhã então, obrigado.
Afonso Oliveira, third fastest in SSV, and he is in 30th place overall. So we now have to go out of the top 50 to find Carlos Sainz. He is 52nd and still last. None of the SSVs
Luís,
have
como é
gone
que foi o
slower.
prólogo? Muito bom, acredito que não tenha sido fácil.
Não, realmente foi difícil, apanhávamos zonas que apanhávamos o nosso próprio pó, além do adversário da frente, mas foi divertido, tínhamos que andar muito nos regos, já estavam muito profundos, mas eu gostei até do prolo, era técnico, portanto, até acho que não correu muito mal.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Obrigado.
So Luis Cidade go back up to the top of the list and see where he's got to. Still Alexandre Pinto is fastest, Luis Cidade second quickest and 13th overall. How much that lost time is going to pain Carlos Sainz tonight and cost him for the entire rally. Richard Axel from Great Britain and Votoruska from the Netherlands alongside him. Another South Racing Can-Am Maverick car. Slightly warmer conditions here than he left back home, Richard. Actually, although the track is really quite rutted,
Paulo, condições bem difíceis para vocês,
visibility is better for these guys.
Muito difícil, muito complicado aqui os primeiros 2 km, muito
Difficult,
trabalho,
pretty complicated, even though it's only a few kilometres.
bem, estamos aqui inteiros.
Para amanhã, qual vai ser a abordagem?
A abordagem vai ter que ser com calma e com o pé no sítio certo para chegar ao fim.
Obrigado, boa sorte.
So, Paulo Rodriguez, let's see where he's come in. Pinto still fastest, Cidade second quickest, Diaz third in SSV, Oliveira fourth. Ooh, what just changed? Then Rodrigo Gaspari, so did he come in ahead of them? No, haven't got his time yet.
Luís, acho que fez o 10º lugar à geral, não sei se já tem essa informação. Se for, é um grande resultado.
Primeira vez que andei no carro, assim, de corrida, foi bom, apanhámos muito pó, acho que toda a gente deve ter apanhado. É o que é, o primeiro não me interessa para nada nesta semana, que interessa conseguir acabar todas as etapas, temos paciência, vamos apanhar muito pó ao longo de toda a semana. Mas como eu estou contente, se é 10º, não sei agora na classe, interessa-me saber um bocadinho a classe, para saber se amanhã estou à frente ou atrás dos meus adversários, mas sim, foi bom.
Obrigado, boa sorte.
417, our final runner in stage, Felipe Lopez and Andre Lopez in the Rio Seco Racing Can-Am Maverick car. So they will be the last across the line. They will, I'm not going to say won't be last in terms of times because we haven't seen them complete the stage yet. Luis Porter, by the way, you just heard from, second in SSV, and he is 10th overall. So ahead of the likes of João Cruz Jacopini
não foi fácil, seguramente.
in his T1 Overdrive Toyota.
Conseguimos pôr o nosso ritmo, nem o que sabemos, muito pó na pista, mas
Ruben Rodriguez.
E esperamos não ser muito atrás, amanhã a gente conseguir pôr algum ritmo e não apanhar pó.
Obrigado, boa sorte.
Actually getting the interview for a lot of these guys before their time comes in. Not in the top 4 or 5. Rodriguez, no, he's down in 33rd place, and he's about 6th or 7th in SSV. So Richard Axel should be just about out of the stage. 3 to go, Ricardo Souza, Jorge Enriquez, Mario Ferreira, Manuel Silva for Santag Racing, and this final machine, Felipe Lopez and Andre Lopez in the Rio Seco Can-Am. So waiting for the final 4 times to come through with Richard Axel and Wouter Roosgaard. Carlos Sainz currently 57th, and it does rather look as though he will be 61st and last, because the slowest time other than Sainz is a 6-minute 4.7, and that is an ultimate machine. And then just ahead of him is Philipp Wick, the Austrian, with his co-driver Gerhard Schmidberger in the MM Rally Can-Am, and that SSV machine was 28.6 seconds faster than Sainz. So there's Richard Axel coming to the line.
José, prólogo difícil, muito pó, condições difíceis para vocês também.
Sim, muita areia, já estávamos a contar, foi semelhante ao ano passado, mas estava um pouco vento na altura em que eu comecei, portanto muito pó, muito pouca visibilidade, quase que apanhávamos o concorrente à nossa frente, tivemos que levantar ali um bocadinho o pé, mas está bom.
Estratégia para amanhã?
É começar devagarinho, a corrida é muito longa, são muitos quilómetros, o objetivo é chegar ao fim, chegamos a Lisboa, é o objetivo.
Obrigado, boa sorte para amanhã.
So Richard Axel 50th, a 5:51.7, and José Nogueira ahead of him in SSV. He's 1 spot up, 5:33.6. So a sizable speed advantage for Nogueira. And 3 to get times from Ricardo Souza, Mario Ferreira and Felipe Lopez. It does definitely look as though the visibility is considerably better, even if the stage is considerably worse. They can at least see the ruts, whereas the Ultimate machines, and to a degree the Challengers, could not, because their big tyres dug up so much more dust as well as sand. 416, the Santag Racing Polaris coming to the line. Mario Ferreira, Miguel Silva, and Filipe and Andre Lopez on their way as well through the final few corners of this brief and hugely dusty prologue. There'll be a few glum faces, I think, in the bivouac tonight. None glummer than Carlos Sainz. A disaster for the Evo version of the Ford Raptor. He and Lucas Cruz will have a lot of work to do for the rest of the event. Of course, in theory, it is all about putting kilometres on the machinery, finding out what works, what doesn't, and being ready for the Dakar.
Ricardo, acredito que ficar para o fim é difícil, com já o piso muito sulcado também.
É verdade, pá. Ficar para o fim o carro anda sozinho nos trilhos e ter muito cuidado nas curvas para não ficar em 2 rodas. É difícil, o piso está muito, muito difícil.
Boa sorte para amanhã, Ricardo.
Yeah, same story as everybody else. Visibility, deep ruts, very, very difficult. That was Ricardo Souza, and our final vehicle has now completed.
Fácil chegar aqui ao fim,
so you can see all the dust hanging in the air. Let's hear from Mario Ferreira.
É verdade, o piso está muito estragado, mas acima de tudo é o pó. Houve alturas do pó que tive que parar, porque o nosso próprio pó de um lado para o outro era impossível ver, mas não correu bem, não sei o tempo que fizemos, mas pelo menos não falhamos nenhuma curva. Amanhã é que é a corrida, hoje foi apenas uma brincadeira, mas vamos ver. Mas cansativo, foi muito trabalhoso.
Imagino, boa recuperação para amanhã, Mário.
Obrigado.
So Mario Ferreira really struggling there, actually. We just heard from him a minute or two ago, 5:44.1.
Filipe, isto ficar para o fim não é fácil, já com os troços, é fechar, exato. Os troços estão muito calcados, imagino.
Our final car through, Filipe Lopes.
Isto é todo o terreno, não é? Ficámos no fim, mas pode ser que amanhã partimos mais para a frente, se Deus quiser.
Obrigado, boa sorte para amanhã.
And he's kind of in the middle, about 7th in the SSVs. So a real mixture. In theory, the SSVs should be trailing behind all the Challengers and all the Ultimates, but it's Nasser al-Attiyah with the fastest time from Luca Moraes, and in 3rd place in Ultimate, Ferreira, ahead of Latigan, but not in terms of their overall pace. The overall fastest time was equalled by Guerrero in the Nasser Racing Team. Brand new machine. Matthias Ekström just 1/100th of a second back. And then Miguel Barbosa in 3rd place. Again, very tight. 1 second back, and then 10th of a second, 0.8 of a second, and then 13 seconds back. And finishing in 7th overall, the fastest machine, Alexandre Pinto in SSV, and 2nd was 10th place overall, 3rd in SSV, 14th place overall. That's impressive stuff from the small machines. So it started with clear air for the championship leader, the defending champion, last year's Prologue winner and event winner here on the BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. But from the first few hundred meters, it was clear that visibility was going to be a massive issue for everybody. And so it proved. And the smaller, lighter, less powerful machinery coming later often produced better speed than much of the front-running Ultimate class. And that's the reason why. Disaster for the Ford Raptor of Carlos Sainz, losing a heap of time in the stage, stopping midway through, and he came out of it as the slowest of all 61 entries. So Sainz with a lot of ground to make up in the brand new Raptor Evo. The Challengers, well, they matched the fastest time. It was impressive stuff from some of the T3 machines. Gonzalo Guerrero, fastest of all the Challengers, just ahead of Matthias Ekström. And they were 2nd and 3rd fastest overall on the stage. Guerrero tying the time set by Nasser al-Attiyah. Al-Attiyah being given 1st place by dint of having set the time in the first place. So just a little bit less in terms of dust for some of the Challengers. With better visibility came the ability to carry more speed. Matthias Ekström came out of the gates like a scalded cat. The Ford factory driver thoroughly enjoying his prologue. Does like to get his sleeves rolled up. Adam Koos in the Akpol Racing recycling entry from Poland went extremely well. But it was the brand new Taurus run by the Nasser Racing Team that was the most impressive of all the Challengers. Gonzalo Guerrero of Portugal and Bruno Giacchimi of Argentina finished second on the Dakar, coming out with the equal fastest time of the entire prologue. And then into SSVs. Saw that one puncture. That's seems, apart from Sainz's Ford stopping on the stage, seems to be the predominant single issue in terms of technical problems. Alexandre Pinto, the first of the SSVs on the stage, ending up with the fastest time from the entire class, and he was 7th overall. Remarkable pace from the Portuguese duo, Alexandre Pinto, Bernardo Oliveira, points leader, setting off to try and claim the title here in his new Polaris RZR Pro. It looks as though he has started as he means to go on, by attacking from the word go. So for the two-wheel contingent, as we expected, the ruts were a little bit of an issue, but not overly much. For the four-wheel competitors, particularly in the ultimate class, it was dust that was the major handicap on the prologue. That is done and dusted. There is the picturesque little town of Grandola, and here is the bivouac. And that will be the centre of this evening's activities as well, as all the competitors will head from here to the ceremonial start a little later in the evening. So that is it for the prologue, and the action starts tomorrow here in Portugal for the 2025 BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. Nasser al-Attiyah and Gonçalo Guerreiro, the fastest men in their classes and overall in the prologue, with Alexandre Pinto of Portugal, the fastest in SSV, an impressive 7th overall. Stay up with all the action on the W2RC website. Until then, from me, Martin Haven, and the crew bringing you the prologue action, it's goodbye from Portugal.